This is me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look, I'm a bit tired. I'm a bit bloody tired, and we're not doing an undies tour. Now, I think I said I had to upload the video, before 24 hours was up. And I don't know if I was like dead on or not in that. What was that large sound bars? What was just made a large noise? I don't know. Anyway. I've uploaded my first arts review from Comedy Festival, so I met that goal. It's absolute dog shit. It's like not funny, and it's also not really insightful, and it feels a bit drivelly, and it's not, even just watching it back, I'm sort of just a bit like these videos, a bit sort of just, down and just kind of, rambling through like WhatsApp voice memoing a friend, and it's fine, but it's not engaging on this screen, I don't think. Well, on the TikTok screen, it might be a bit more engaging on this screen. I just went for a walk just to try and get the exercise in, but my other goal to report back on, thank you so much. Thanks for being there. Thanks for, in my mind, silently standing in the corner of my kitchen with your arms folded, being like, what are you going to do? Are you going to have that soft drink in the fridge? Thanks for being on my walk with me just earlier, where I was like, McDonald's is open and I haven't claimed my free birthday item that I get via the app. Thanks for being there with an eyebrow raise, being like, really? Really, Kyle? Because I didn't. And it's making me very aware, even just coming up to 24 hours in, that I'm addicted to sugar in the most savage, codependent possible way. I mean, sugar's not dependent on me, but I'm dependent on it. I don't think that's codependency, is it? Symbiosis? I'm getting confused. But all I've had today was, as per my eating diary, which I'll leave a link in the description for this video if you want to track it over the course of my life, where I'm just going to keep brief notes in there. I should find out how much I weigh, but I'll need to go to a shopping center or something and step on a scales. I don't have one. I'm not going to buy one just for that. But I did table tennis today. Not the most heart rate raising of sports, but it still, I guess, was more than being on the couch. I went for a long walk just then. I did some stretching, little bit, video evidence, not following a plan, just following a little bit of body intuition. Still better than nothing. But then I had a little on my walk before, as I said in a voice memo to my friend Claire, I was like, it's with great boredom and sadness and excitement that I announce I've begun my fitness and health journey. And I just love sugary treats. That's okay. What I think it is just going to happen instead is that I'm going to slowly remember the feeling of power and strength in my body. Which brings me to my next kind of point of tension, right? In the manifesting, wow, all my dreams are coming true. Every step is a step in the right direction. My content reaches wide audiences, and those audiences value my content monetarily and with their appreciation. It's happening. We're living it. Except for I'm about to have to withdraw from my kind of savings for the first time since quitting my job. And that's okay. That was part of the plan. But I was just thinking, would it be nice to just keep something in the kind of daily cash pot that could have kept me afloat for a bit longer? And I do genuinely I think I've worked through this enough to say that money coming out is, yes, I've just lost, I'm withdrawing because it's an ETF or EFT, whatever the kind of whatever spaceship is. I will still run through the finances, I promise. I just haven't sat down to kind of get all the proper screenshots and stuff and go through everything yet. I did start, but the value is down, so I'm withdrawing at not a good time, so it feels like a double sucky kind of thing. And in saying that, though, there is part of me that's like, I came up with this little mantra, right? This is how cuckoo I am. And I'll just remind you, if you're joining me, if you haven't been one of the dedicated watchers and listeners from episode 1, thank you so much. But this year is me living the delusion. I am committed to living the delusion for so many reasons, but I think that is the kind of path to manifesting to manifesting. But I also think, even if it's not, the delusion of me spending this time, however long it is, but post my last job that I keep harping on about, the delusion of being like, oh, I'm a content creator. This is me training for what is my job, is to make content, and I am a comedian and a creative and a storyteller and an actor, and me running my own production team of 1 at the moment is how I'll be able to be so skilled and comfortable when I'm running, my team of many on a TV show, right? Like a writing team or whatever. And so even if you might sit there listening to this or watching this right now and think like, oh, he's got some hard truths coming for him. Or you might think like, I mean, if he was going to make it, surely he would have made it by now. He's 37, 38 in 2 days' time. And I think even just like before this year, I would have been like, yeah, I know, you don't have to tell me because I've already told myself that. But this year, I'm just giving myself a break from that. And I'm actually enjoying the delusion. Even if you're right and I'm wrong, the delusion is just such a funner way to spend my time. And to date, I haven't really shared it beyond my close friends, this idea of like this live the delusion, because I feel a bit embarrassed. But, well, no, it's not that I feel embarrassed. I started off being a bit protective of it. And then I think the stronger I've grown in relationship to it this year, and the stronger, the more bandwidth of positive emotions and positive experiences I've had this year in so many different facets of my life, I just think it's working. It's weirdly working. Even if it's just all up in my head, it's placeboing me into a better, nicer version of myself, which is great. So in saying all of that does feel like the fundamental layer. And so I think I'm just updating you on being like, there's been a little pinchy moment where I'm like, that's right, rent is going to come out of my account, and there needs to be money in there for that to come out. And so I just do need money to catch up, the flow in to catch up a little bit faster. There's some like outstanding invoices that I'm waiting on to be paid for voice work mostly, and a brand deal or two, that once they land in my account, we're sort of fine again. And I'm quite frugal, I think, generally. But anyway, it is just still a test. And then in saying all of that, just to fully own and acknowledge the privilege that is, I say this while speaking into a very expensive microphone, while renting a very nice house, while speaking to you on my very expensive camera and editing this on my very expensive computer, and with the full confidence that my privilege is also that there's a certain level of just baseline privilege, education and scrappiness and resourcefulness that I'm like, I'll be fine. Do you know what I mean? I said this to my friend Nadia the other day, but also, I don't know, articulated it. I was reporting it back to her. Okay, you don't need to know that. But just that I would actually rather be homeless. I would actually rather be forced out of my rental and not be able to pay rent and then have to work something out than go back to working full-time in local government again. I don't mean never working again. I just mean if there was a path to making this work, I will almost do anything. I will do almost anything, and that includes sacrificing money to get to the end goal. And what is the end goal, Kyle? It's a series of feeling states, but mostly it's about like creating things and sharing that and being paid for that. That's really it. So yeah, that's that. But look, so the list of gratitudes are many. I love being able to go for a walk at nighttime and feel safe enough to do that. A little bit of, that cracky energy getting around, but I think it's just using your senses to like stay on the other side of the street, and I think I'll be fine. And I like that I have what feels like a seemingly endless untapped well of creativity inside of me. I think we all do, but I just am really starting to believe it inside myself as I test it more and more. The idea that like, oh, just sit for a moment and there will be more ideas that come. There's always more. I just stopped, just so you know, the sound probably went weird there because I bumped on that. And not that, I mean, I could do a cut, couldn't I? But I think you would feel a bit suspicious if I suddenly put a cut in at this moment in time, be like, hang on, what's he hiding? So I'm just being upfront. So, sorry, that distracted me. What were we talking about? Anyway, endless creativity, yeah, and feeling like the test of just thinking you've run out of ideas and being like, no, there's more, and there's actually one more, there's actually 10 more, there's actually 100 more, there's actually infinite more. I put up this review and it's sort of done badly, and then also the Waiting for Godot Love Luxury parody is also done badly comparatively, right? Like it's sitting around 3,000 likes or something, which is not good. You want to hit 1,000 likes in the first hour. You want to hit 10,000 likes in 24 hours if you know it's on a trajectory to be pushed and have some strong engagement and end up in the double figures, maybe triple figures of likes, and maybe triple figures of views to 1 million views, impressions. So that's flopped, and I think that is what's really nice, I think, in this kind of this creative discipline that I'm trying to enter into and practice, the habit of creativity and output and craft and editing and reflection and improvement and whatever, is that maybe a year ago that would have rattled me, toppled me, as I was just like riding the kind of like what algorithmic roulette of what do you need me to do? Do I change all my content? Do I change my name? Do I get a tattoo? I'll do anything if you just and then just like chilling out and being like, no, just consistency, just continuous forward movement. That's all you can do, with like taking some bets on being like, I think this will work and I'll try something here, but then at the same time being like, and it didn't, so let's just regroup and go again. The knowledge to be, and I like, I think, yes, I've learnt that through the kind of content posting schedule and training school, but I also think that I innately know the feeling. Doesn't mean I'm so enlightened and I've moved above the idea of failure. Doesn't bother me. But some key moments, I think, in my life have been very confronting for feedback and improvement. And I think like acting, performing settings has really been the kind of like most intense version of those. Probably one would be clown school in France, at training with Philippe Gaulier in clown. I only did the kind of summer intensive, which was about 6 weeks, I think, in total. 6 weeks, 5 weeks. It was so every day we would go to school, you do movement and maybe another class about like ensemble or complicité or something like that. And then every afternoon we'd have Philippe and we'd do clowning. And I mean, you if you're watching this, you might know me enough that you've been on a live where I've explained this, or you're someone of this world and it doesn't need explaining. But just in case, a little cheat sheet is that like clowning in the European kind of theatrical tradition is not big flappy feet and flowers that squirt and honka, and I do face paint at the county fair. Although connected. I guess the kind of French tradition of clowning is much more about an innocent, naive fool, often non-verbal, often creating performances that are alive, but it also is many things. So there are people that will still do shows that are very traditionally clown, and to the point that they're non-verbal and they're different every night and whatever else. then I think clown is also a state that you can access, even if you're in Summer of the 17th Doll by Ray Lawler, a very staid traditional theatre piece. There's still an element of aliveness behind the eyes and risk and danger that you can conjure up. And then, I think the training in itself, a bit like physical theatre, I don't want to sit through. I never ever want to see someone have to do a Suzuki stomp in a piece of theatre that I'm watching. It's just a very kind of like hardcore physical theatre, cultish kind of like clique. Most notably Zen Zen Zo in Brisbane, but Frank Theatre and many others, City in America, City Company. But it's aside from the kind of questionable cultural appropriations and the origins of its existence in Australia, to be looked into maybe in another video. But I don't want to watch that in performance. But those performers that have been through that training often have noticeably grounded, physically present, really interesting bodies to watch on stage. So I think the training is really important. And equally, I think clown's a little bit similar for me. I don't necessarily want to find myself in a clown show ever again. I've tried a few times and had varying success. And I've seen other people do it much better than me. But the state is so important. And the process itself was excruciating of going there, to be completely honest. And people, famously Philippe Gaulier is, one of the world's best clown teachers. His kind of alumni or, students include Sacha Baron Cohen and Helena Bonham Carter. And yeah, like he is brutal and there's lots of truth telling. He's very funny. I feel like people didn't describe to me how funny he was. And it wasn't until I was there that I thought like, oh, he is wickedly funny. He's not just an old asshole. He's dead now, by the way. Not just an old asshole. I think he'd also approve of this language, so I don't think it's too disrespectful speaking of him this way. He is absolutely demanding of truth, like at every moment, which is why it's so hard, because not everyone is willing to hear the truth about what we see from the audience or what he sees. And there is this amazing gift that he is teaching, which is this idea of like comedy really is just honesty, extreme honesty, in a way that is like the performer, the clown, gives us the gift of serving up the truth that we're not brave enough, willing, ready, that we're still working out. They serve up that truth to us. And we get the pleasure of enjoying that without having to say it ourselves, but sort of be like, yeah, that is sort of how I am, or you are, or like this moment feels. That was really awkward, that thing that just happened 5 minutes ago or whatever. The clown, he's just demanding of truth. And all of the kind of efforts of people that would get up there. And I always note, largely the Americans, because there was people from all over the world, but I think it speaks to something about the American psyche and humor and entertainment. This kind of like strong presence, and the jokes are very cerebral and very clever and improv and staying one step ahead. And the clown, that's all well and good and serves a really, serves itself really well in those forms. But clown sort of asks for a naivete and a moment to moment kind of like openness to kind of whatever will unfold. It's much less in control. It's much less ordered and contained, and it has much higher risk, I think, but much greater reward. And those people who would come up kind of with the like prepared shtick or wanting to kind of show something or think they've got it figured out would just fall so greatly. And not because of Philippe's, beating of them, although he did that as well, but because it was just not funny. And trust me, when you're there for that long, you watch and you are begging. You are sitting there some days begging for someone to make something funny happen on stage when it is just excruciating. And he sits at the back of the class with his drum and, kind of like verbiage that swans in and out of English and French.
Do we fucking think they are? Do we think that he is fucking funny or fucking not funny?
And he would turn to someone in the class and put them on the spot and say,
if this person was the last person on earth, bomb has dropped, and made entire population die, and the only hope of reproducing was to fuck him, would you give him fuck? Or would you say, bang bang, bye bye, no more humans, you are unfunny fucking bastard?
And then he would ask for an answer, and if the person was like, oh, I'd fuck them, or like, I'd say, like, I mean, this sounds extreme, and it was. I realize it's really extreme, but it was delivered in a moment of like good-naturedness. He knew that we weren't genuinely being asked, would we fuck each other? It was just, he was making the extreme point of like, that was so unfunny, and we really need to make a point, a funny, creative meal of how unfunny that was. My greatest highlight of my time at Goliath is that Goliath gifts you a bit like the sorting hat in Harry Potter, right? What your sort of clown persona that you're going to present to the class is, and what he would like to see you. I guess there's a bit of an assessment too. So people get archetypes from like the Virgin Mary to a terrorist, I think was one, to like a coach, like a sports guy. Mine was like English businessman with like umbrella up his ass. You have to go buy a costume and return on Monday in that costume, that outfit, ready to clown, like perform. And some people were still just drastically unfunny, but one day after some time had passed and we got used to each other's like clown costumes and things, and we'd have to, dress up for each class, we swapped costumes and swapped clowns, and it was the most offensive, hilarious, wickedly dark, funny, probably one of the funniest days of my life. People that were unfunny were suddenly funny because they had the chance to kind of step out of their skin. We suddenly got to laugh at people that had been consistently unfunny because there was this like relief in the room while someone else embodied them and kind of played the joke of how unfunny they'd been. Very wild experience. Very, very wild experience that was... But getting back to my point, I think if you or me... When I say you, I'm really just talking to my own shadow self, right? My own inner critic. But allow me to look you in the eyes. When you hear me and you think, he's delusional, or these videos, like he's done his trick, he's flopping, he's not... You can see it on the views and the likes, they're going down. I say, you ain't seen nothing yet. And by that I just mean the flops don't bother me. The flops don't bother me because you don't know what it's like to be on the other side of the world paying to have an old alcoholic octogenarian Frenchman yell abuse at you and tell you how fucking unfunny you are, right? While your classmates all watch on and gently nod their heads in agreement. Like, I'll take 3,000 likes on a video any day over another moment of being like, I don't want to get up on stage and be desperately unfunny again, but I know I have to. I know it's the only way forward. And one of the greatest moments of my time at Goliath was on the back of this feeling that I know very well in my life. I remember feeling it when I was doing drama workshops in Bundaberg with guest teachers and no one else would go up first. And then I remember the advice of like, if you want to do this, you got to show them that you want to do this. Even if you don't feel ready, you've got to get up on stage. You get up in front of them. Don't sit back and you need to be fighting for who's on stage first. And I remember feeling like, okay, and it's almost like I can picture hands on my back pushing me, being like, get up there, like someone being like, go, and me being like, I don't want to, because it's scary, and it often ends in failure. Sometimes ends in failure, but the failures are so brutal that it makes it feel... Anyway, and I remember another time, like there's been a few key times when I felt that in my life, and the last day of Goliath was one of those where there's like this feeling, this presence on my back where with something really unfunny, it's been disaster, and we're all sitting there and Goliath's like, does anyone else want to have a turn? And everyone was like a bit like, ugh. And I remember just feeling like, go Kyle, you have to go. And the hands pushed me up on stage and I did just a little exercise. And I don't like to talk about it too much because it feels precious to what happened in that room at that time. And I don't want to like over explain it or make it out to be something bigger than it was. But I took from that the words that he said to me in front of the class, but then also privately at the end as some of the most like precious advice and wisdom. It's up where like that I will hang on to like forever, really. And again, it's one of those pieces of evidence that's like, oh, Kyle, you're not a big faker. You're not awful. Like, this is someone who has taught Sacha Baron Cohen, Helena Bonham Carter, that guy from Zach and Vigo. Zach, I guess. And Vigo. It's just that was a weird way to explain Zach and Vigo. But anyway, it's not, I don't think there's enough coincidences in the world for all of these random things to be like, you're not very good, but it's just a coincidence. Like, there's lots of people that you've accidentally tricked. It's like, no, I'm very good. And it's just about taking more action. I think that's my takeaway. So I really hold that dearly, and I'm very grateful that I got to learn from Philippe while he was still alive. Cranky old bastard, but boy oh boy, I mean, if you talk to anyone that's been there, his presence and the impact of him is so huge, and it's such a difficult, weird thing to describe time there. And people go there for like 1, 2, 3, maybe even years. But it's hard to come out not changed, I think. There were some real kind of people, and not everything is a happy story either. Like, some people, I feel like I saw that be the end of their kind of clowning or performative kind of careers in some ways, in that it was like, it's a brutal place, and is very difficult. And I think it does break people a little bit too. Victoria Pedretti, is that her name? Pedretti. She was in my class at Goliath as well. Okay. 27 minutes. That's all we've got for today. I'm going to keep updated on the accountability. Thanks if you've listened and watched this far. It's a big day tomorrow, so we'll see how we go. No, we'll get stuff done. I've got travel time. Okay. Thanks for listening as always. Bye.